So we are now on the 5th instalment to this series. You guys let me know in the comments below how you've been enjoying it. Is it the type of video you like, or is it not really for you? Let me know. But today's one is featuring the colour white. What do you guys think of when you think of the colour white? For me, snow will probably be what comes to mind. In fact, snowman specifically, or snowmen, or snow women. Either way, that's what comes to my mind. Let me know in the comments below what comes to your mind when you think of the colour white. Hello and welcome back to Bug Realms. On this channel we like to discuss all things creepy crawly, so if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel. So today is our video on white. What animals did I pick up that were white? Do you find that colour quite bland, quite boring? Well, watch the video and let me know in the comments below if you thought these animals were bland or boring. Now without further ado, let's crack straight on. So, jumping into our first species of the white category, you can see an enclosure you have seen in previous videos, but not in any of this series yet. And this enclosure actually contains my Porcelio laevis milkback isopod colony. Now they're all hidden away, but I do assure you that there are a bunch in there. So our first one for today is more P. laevis milkback, and I got 50 plus from Isopods online. Why did I do that? Well, I just love the patterning on these guys and they come at a really reasonable price for 50. I couldn't turn it down and I wanted to extend my colony. Look at the beauty of milkbacks. Now I've put them under the category of white because, you know, with the name milkback, milk is white and the majority of these isopods are, in my opinion, more white than they are any other colour. They have those beautiful darkened stripes along the middle, and then they have kind of almost flakes of maybe a beigey brownish colour. That the morph is really interesting to me because it's almost like as if there were a kind of browny colour underneath coated with that milky white and then speckled on top. It's almost like a cappuccino to me, but like a milky cappuccino. That mixture of a cappuccino and a latte all in one. And I just think that they are fantastic. So I'm hoping that I can get these guys breeding really well. They are a pretty easy species to breed of isopods. So I shouldn't have any issues with these guys, especially now that my numbers are going to be around 70 to 80. I can't remember if I had 20 or 30 in my previous enclosure. So I'm showing you quite a bit of footage of these guys because of the slight differences, the diversity between. You can see some of them have more of that browny tone than they do the white. And I'd just like you guys to see a comparison. So if you own milkback isopods, let me know. This little one is more brown with a milky skirt, and this is what I'm talking about with variation. So here is a milkback that was from my previous colony, just sitting in there, having a little nose. This one is also pretty darker in coloration. So now came the time to pop in the milkbacks. Now I always give it a little tap first, and you can see they almost rain down. They're on a soft landing of leaf litter, so it's fine. And then if they're all in an egg carton bit, I massage it. So I'm not actually prodding and poking as such. I'm wiggling my finger around, giving a little massage, and it kind of loosens them up so that when you pat again, they can rain down easier. And then I kind of rinse and repeat that process over time. So I've got a chunk of these guys in, adding in the rest now, and look how quickly they can hide. This enclosure is much bigger than the ones you're used to seeing in this particular series, and that's because it contains more. This is the next size up I go. So I have the smaller enclosures that you saw previously in other videos that are for like isopods of around about 10 count, and then they move up to this when they get into maybe the 50 count or 20 to 30 count on larger species. And here is a dinky one, a dinky dot, a babby. And that's why when you maintain isopods or purchase isopods, you really need to check every part of the pot. So if they come with a tissue lining, they will hide in that tissue. So it's not only babies that have managed to hide, I had adults in there. And where I'm scouring around here was because I knew there was another baby somewhere. Look how easy, look at them, look at them. Look how many I could have missed there if I were not paying attention. So with these guys all in their home, I'll tell you a little bit about it. We've got some moss to go on our damp side of the enclosure. We've got plenty of leaf litter and bark, all places for them to not only feast upon but hide. There's lots of rotten white wood mixed in with the substrate too. But look how easy these guys can hide under the leaves. I lift them up and you see a few scamper back into the darkness. And look how many bundled under the bark. That's what's cool about keeping isopods. You pick up that larger piece of bark and bada bing, bada boom, you get to see your babies. It's really, really nice. Unlike the tarantula hobby where, you know, if you lift it up, you may just get a threat pose disturbing your tarantula. With the isopod hobby, it's just really, really neat. Now, I spotted this one here. Can anyone tell me what's going on? Can anyone take a guess? This isopod is molting. Another thing I rarely see on YouTube is the actual process of the molt. Now, unfortunately, I did not have enough battery in my camera to leave this running for a time lapse, so you only get a bit of a clip of it here. But look as it's pushing away its old skin, tensing its muscle, contracting to push and pull itself free of the molt. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit now so you can get the end of that footage, and then we are going to move on to our next animal under the white category. Before we continue this video, did you know that Buggrams is affiliated with the Spidershop? So when you next need a stunning new tarantula, some healthy live food, well needed equipment, or just in the market for something unusual, please head over to the Spidershop via my personal and unique link in the description below. This won't cost you anything extra, but it gives me a little back in return for your loyalty. Thanks guys, now back to the video. So moving on, we have another one of our tarantula room enclosures, set up very similar to how we keep isopods. Now you'll see there is some mesh on the sides. That was so that I could actually block some old ventilation holes that were made for when I kept a tarantula in here, because I didn't want babies of this animal getting out. Now I'm not actually sure how small the babies are of this animal, but I wanted to be sure. So we've got bark, we've got leaf litter, we've got moss, and we have got the Gyna centurio, or the centurion cockroach from Gambia. So there are various Gyna, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, that you can get hold of, and I went for these because I just think that they're super pretty. Not the biggest species of cockroach, but an attractive species that you are just about to witness here. Topsy-turvy, there we go. So this little beauty, I think, is actually a male, and you can see, excuse me, you can see nymphs actually crawling all around the edges too. So we've got lots of dinky little babies in here. Now I chose this under white because of that ivory patches to the sides and on top there. I know you have that kind of red splash and you get that kind of brown coffee tones with some darker as well, but it's the white of the ivory side of this cockroach that really attracted me. Now I was concerned that I would not get all the babies off of that bit of cardboard, so I left it in there. There's no harm in doing so, I just need to watch out for if it were to mould. But as this isn't a massively humid kept species, it's less likely to mould quickly. Now it doesn't look like there's a lot in here, does it? So I bought this from Isopods online as a breeding culture. But where are they? A few nymphs and a male? Surely not. But as we pursue further and further in here, I promise you there are a lot more than what you can see. And you see little movements of the nymphs running around. We have lots of nymphs in here, but where are the adults? I was getting a little concerned myself at this point, knowing that these guys always set me up a really nice breeding culture, or they have done with other roaches. Boom, there we have it. We have a female there, so I can only differentiate them because of their size personally. But it's not just a female, not just a female at all. It's a male and a female. This is my problem. I keep swapping camera angles and I'm voiceovering after, so who knows which one we saw first. It doesn't matter, but to my knowledge that larger one is the girlie and the smaller one is the boy. If I am wrong, someone please correct me in the comments. I am no expert at roaches. I am learning as I go. Now you can see that the larger one that we are going to refer to as the female has similar tones to this male that you're looking at here. It has those lighter brown tones and those darker brown tones with that ivory edging and ivory placement above the head with your typical red markings, whereas your nymphs stay a humble little brown coloration. As we can see, there is another gyna just here, and they are speedy guys, although handling them isn't too much of an issue. Maybe not so good for tiny kids, tiny hands, because these guys are very quick. But look there, look how many are digging away into the substrate. Now I do not see these guys very regularly, I'm going to be honest with you, but again with a little bit of disturbance, when you put in your food or do your maintenance, they will pop out and you will see them. But they do like to burrow, they stay burrowed quite readily, although you will see them a little more at night time. And just checking back in on the cardboard, still lots of nymphs there. And there is a juvenile. Now looking underneath, you can see how both males and females have now resided underneath this bit of cardboard. And again, I decided not to take the cardboard out and just leave it where it was. So just showing you a quick handling here to show you it can be done, but they do little bolts of speed. Little bolts. But I'm pretty sure they can run at a faster pace for longer. It's just that this one was a bit confused of its surroundings. So something we'll have to experiment with in the future. The speed of roaches, roach racing perhaps. And we're going to finish this footage off with looking at our breeding pair. They have stayed connected through the entire time that I have been rustling about, disturbing and replacing. Now these guys were left in the pot, they were taken out for you to see, and now they are put back into the enclosure and they are still connected. Well, it's great to know that they're still breeding, so we are going to have even more babies to come. The problem when you purchase adults, you don't know their age, you don't know whether they're still going to be fertile, whether they're still going to be breeding. This pair is still at it, so we are going to have more babies in the future. Now I hope you like looking at the Gyna Centuria. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the very last enclosure of our white category. So here we have the enclosure. It's a typical Isopod setup. I'm not even going to try and lie to you guys anymore. It's got hiding spaces under those rotten branches. It's got some banana leaf for aesthetic look, and it's got the leaf litter and all that goodness. And these are the P. pruninosis white. So I love P. pruninosis. I've got powder blue, I've got powder orange, and now we are going for white. And these were purchased from Dubia Pool. And there they are. Beautiful coloration. Now I prefer pruninosis white over P. laevis white, and I think that's because with the pruninosis I like the shape of them. I like their slightly medium to small sort of size, their little bolts of speed, and they're more kind of elongated shape over laevis. And I think that these ones, the whiter versions of these, tend to be whiter than the whiter versions of laevis. Now I'm not sure if that's just out of the specimens I particularly own or whether that is a standard thing. We will soon find out when breeding occurs. So pruninosis are dead easy to breed. They are great in bioactive setups. They are quite hardy, so you can keep them humid all the time, but you can have dry spells as long as there is a damper patch in the enclosure at all times, so they can regulate their humidity and temperature needs. I say temperature as well because the higher they are up, the warmer it will be, the more they dig down, the cooler it will be as well. So as you can see, really crystal white, beautiful animals. That one doesn't really want to be on the camera, a little camera shy. There we go, let's have another little look. I was trying to catch the eyes of these guys. Are they also white, or do we have some red in there? I can't quite tell with the footage that I've taken. I think they're staying white. They look white to me. And there's a babby. There is a babby. We're always excited to see ickle whittle babies crawling around. Now you'll have to excuse the blurriness. I am using a macro lens. This isn't a baby. You might think it is. It's actually a springtail. So you will find springtails in any good isopod setup anyway. You know you're doing something right if you've got the springtails there. You'll see slightly less in Spanish species where they are in drier environments, but the more moist environment species, you know you're doing right when you've got springtails in there, and they also help clean up. This, on the other hand, is a baby isopod. So feel free to skip between these clips so you can see the difference to save any confusion you might have at home between baby isopod and springtail. Baby isopods pretty much look like baby isopods. You just got to kind of have the eye for it. I know people have been confused in the past. So there we are. Let's have another look. Those eyes, they might ever be ever so slightly pink, or are they just staying white? This is something I really wanted to capture, and as I said before, I kind of didn't quite get it as I wanted. But we will keep an eye, and I'll update you on that later. Now I found this clip interesting. Keep watching. There's some strange behaviours here. So you will have an isopod poke itself out. It's having an explore. Hello mate, how you doing? And then all of a sudden, bam, it's back in. Now I couldn't work out if that was because another isopod had touched it and it freaked out, and in defence it went back to hide, or if that other isopod actually pulled it away. But look here, the other isopod is emerging. Bam! Did you see that speed? It shot back behind the leaf, and I have no idea what that behaviour is. You guys let me know. Was this isopod just scared and running back, or was there some sort of territorial action going on there as the other one was going, this is my leaf, back off? It's not a kind of thing you expect to happen in isopods, but territorial or territorialism, is that even a word? Who knows? If it's not, I've made it up. Is that a thing? Yes, it is a thing, but is that a thing in pruninosis? I don't know. I know it happens in species like Hoffman's sagi, your giants, but in these, I really don't know. So there we have it, our white animals. So every animal featured in white seems to be doing absolutely fine. Those roaches hide away quite a lot, so I can't tell you if there's been any more signs of breeding or not yet. They tend to come out a little bit more at night time, but I've had so many animals to check on, that's not one I've really looked at. Now those ghost isopods, they are already establishing well. I already have babies from those. Those babies could have been from the previous lot that I kept in the enclosure, or it could have been from the new lot, and perhaps we purchased some already gravid. But as I said, the most important thing, that all are doing well and fine. And I'll see you next Sunday for a new colour of animal that came as a part of my big animal haul unboxing.